Whaatwaa family, welcome back to the channel, man. It's your boy, Mr. Whaatwaa. Today. Hey, yo, skirt, man, check this out. Yo, we got a video today. It's called When Christians First Met Muslims. All right, let's get into it. Now, remember, this is your first time on the channel. Make sure you go ahead and subscribe and join the Whaatwaa family. We the latest family on YouTube, and that's a fact. Also, before we get started, put a like on this video. Remember, if you got a video you want me to react to, get down in the comment section, post the link, and I will get to it, man. Let's go ahead and get into this reaction.
If history matters, then getting right the history of the first encounters of the modern world's two largest religions, Christianity and Islam, really matters. Problem is, we likely have that history wrong. The received story of Christian-Muslim interactions is a story of unrelenting military conflict, beginning with Islamic expansion shortly after the birth of the new religion in 7th century Arabia, and ending with the siege of Constantinople, with a few crusades thrown in the middle for good measure. Now, there's nothing factually inaccurate about this narrative. The problem is simply that's only a small part of a much larger story. Let me explain. Early Christianity is primarily seen as a religion of the Mediterranean basin that spread with the Roman Empire and was recorded in Greek and Latin. But a large number of early Christians lived in what would be modern-day Iran, Iraq, Syria, Lebanon, and eastern Turkey, while generally writing in a dialect of Aramaic called Syriac. Due to a series of 5th century theological controversies, most Western Christians considered these Syriac Christians heretics and essentially wrote them out of history. My own research focuses on how the history of Christianity changes if we no longer ignore that for centuries, the geographic center of Christianity was not Rome or even Constantinople, but rather Baghdad. The recovery of this essentially lost history of Christianity profoundly affects our understanding of early Christian-Muslim relations. Again, let me explain. The Prophet Muhammad was born around the year 570 in the city of Mecca. According to Islamic tradition, his prophecy began in 610 when he first received divine revelation. In 622, he fled to the city of Medina to escape persecution. There he and his growing followers thrived, and 8 years later, he triumphantly led a Median army into Mecca. He died around 632. His first successor oversaw a dramatic expansion, often known as the Islamic conquests. Muslim forces experienced unbelievable success in the following decades. In just a few years, they took over the entire Persian Empire, 2/3 of the Eastern Roman or Byzantine Empire. They soon controlled all of North Africa, Spain, and were only repelled in France. In the Eastern Mediterranean, military conflict between the Islamic and Byzantine empires continued for over 8 centuries, resolved only in 1453 when Islamic forces finally took the city of Constantinople, what is modern-day Istanbul. However, this well-accepted narrative is overly simplified because there are only a handful of modern scholars who can read writings in Syriac from the majority of early Christians who lived under Muslim rule. The problem is, if you stick to Greek and Latin sources, you're building your history of Christian reactions to Islam solely on the writings of Christians who were primarily in military conflict with Muslims. But up to half of ancient Christians lived in the Middle East and had a very different experience with Muslims than did most Greek and Latin Christians, with any military encounters over in just a few years. By the 640s, they were firmly within the Islamic Empire. How then would the history of Christian-Muslim relations change if instead of reading Christians often at odds with Muslims, we focus on Syriac Christians who had daily interactions with Muslims and thus a much more direct knowledge of Islam? I wrote 2 books exploring how in the Islamic Empire, these Christians held key governmental positions, attended the caliph's court in Baghdad, collaborated with Muslim scholars to translate Greek knowledge into Arabic, accompanied Muslim leaders on their campaigns against the Byzantines, and helped fund monasteries through donations from Muslims, including money from the Caliph himself. Middle Eastern Christians ate with Muslims, married Muslims, bequeathed estates to Muslim heirs, taught Muslim children, and were soldiers in Muslim armies. Writings from these ancient Middle Eastern Christians even depict a particularly amorphous nature of what we call Islam, suggesting that in the first centuries after Muhammad's death, there was much greater overlap between the categories, Christian and Muslim, than commonly acknowledged. This does not mean that the earliest encounters between Christians and Muslims were always harmonious or kumbaya. The incredible diversity of Syriac discussions of Muslims, ranging from overtly antagonistic to downright friendly, makes any simplistic narrative extremely difficult. But it also refutes any depiction of a monolithic Christian reaction to Islam. Now, for historians of interreligious encounters, such results should not be surprising. Nevertheless, the increasing dominance of a conflict model of Christian-Muslim relations has effectively drowned out most other voices. It is here where these previously lost sources are so valuable. By expanding our perspective, these early Christian writings show that rather than existing as firmly bound independent entities, much less inevitably clashing civilizations, for centuries, Christians and Muslims constantly exhibited points of permeability, interdependence, and convergence. I am Michael Penn for the Amir Stein Center.
Oh man, yo, Whaatwaa family, get down in the comment section. Let me know what y'all think about the video. Also, if you got a video you want me to react to, get down in the comment section, post the link, and I will get to it. Now let's talk about this. It was in 622 that he fled to Medina, right? So basically, at one point, of course, Christians and Muslims were able to live and coexist together, but it was for the, I guess you can call it colonization, or maybe just, just basically building the strength of the army and things of that nature. They were able to basically take over that region, especially like northern Africa, and then they were stopped just right there by France. And when I think about it, it just lets you, it makes you think like, about times back in that, like the times in that, how can I say it? Like how it was back in those times, for when people were basically trying to cultivate land and try to cultivate land as fast as they could, because they knew some of it was not already colonized. So you start to think like, wow, like there was a time where everything was working together, and now, it seems like, how like, it's like when two people used to be friends, but now they're looking at each other and the only thing they can do is just be like, hey, but they don't want to be like, hey, you know what I'm saying? So it just makes you think like where was the breaking? Where was the substance? Where did everything just depart from, So then this is the other part right here. Let me see if I can find it for you guys real quick. But there was this other part where they were talking about the, I guess the colonization, or just I guess you could say like the effects of understanding the Christians being with the Muslims at that time. I think that was probably around the time of, no, that was after. That was definitely after Christ's death. Okay, yeah, because it was AD, so after that. Okay, so after, people were still able to take what they were taught from the prophets and then start to like broaden it, as far as instead of having religion just stay in, they started to broaden the religion, like start to make people like, hey, let me teach you about this. Let me teach you what I learned from Prophet Muhammad. Let me teach you what I learned from Prophet Jesus. And I think that's how things started to grow outwards, as far as like people trying their best to get other people to believe in their religion. And that's how I think it started to spread as far as the people being divided, in a sense. So that's what I got from the video. Whaatwaa family, get down in the comment section, let me know what you got from the video. If this is your first time on the channel, make sure you go ahead and subscribe and join the Whaatwaa family. We the latest family on YouTube, and that's a fact. Also put a like on this video, and guys, I will see you tomorrow. Why? Because I post videos every day, so please take care. Mwah. Stay safe. Whaatwaa.